from the pages of Odin Journal to your speakers. This is The Juice by the Odin Journal. Davis County News, freshly squeezed. Brought to you and sponsored by the Delmer Wagler Real Estate Team.
Welcome to the Juice Podcast by the Odin Journal. I'm your co-host, Grant Swartzentruber. Each week, we'll bring you an interesting interview on local news, politics, and sports. And if you're lucky, we'll talk about faith and culture and politics. And today, we're talking with Miss Tiffany Arthur. How are you, Tiffany?
I'm good.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate when folks take the time to do this. And I know you're from the county. You told me earlier that you're a North Davis gal.
Yes.
And maybe let's get started by introducing yourself, your current role. I know you work within the political structure more or less, and that you're running for something.
Yes.
So maybe introduce our listeners and introduce people to who you are.
So my name is Tiffany Arthur, and I was born here in Washington. Spent most of my life here. I was born to teen parents, so that kind of taught me from a young age resilience and hard work.
Who are your parents?
So my father's Brian Englehart.
Okay.
Brian and Connie Englehart here in town. Yeah.
They lived pretty close to me at our old house. They lived maybe one street up. So I know who they are.
Yeah. You can find them at the golf course a lot. And then my mother, she really doesn't live around here. Her name's Caroline, but they divorced when I was pretty young.
So Connie's your stepmother?
Stepmom, yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So my mom lived kind of all over the place. We lived in California and New Mexico and Georgia for a bit. So
how'd you get back to North Davis then?
My dad has always stayed here. So this has kind of always been the family center for me, kind of the best of both worlds, getting to experience a little bit more of what's out there. But always being able to come back home. So Daviess County has always been where that root is, spending, Sunday dinners at my great aunt's with all of my cousins and, going to church with my grandparents and, with our family. So that's kind of how I ended up back here to, raise my family here. So, like you mentioned, I'm a North Daviess grad. It's been a minute.
Yeah. What year?
2001.
Okay.
So it's been 25 years.
Wow.
Which it doesn't seem.
You're not that old.
I know. Well,
we are the same age.
We're going to hold on to that not being old then. We're going to focus on
25 years. I didn't even think about, I guess, so will you have a North Davis 25-year high school graduation?
We should have a reunion. The last time that one came up, my son was graduating high school.
Oh, cool.
And this year I am running for state representative in District 63. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how much bandwidth I have left.
And so I know you're running, you mentioned you're running for state rep, and you're currently the chair of the local Democrat Party.
Yes, here in Daviess County.
And before we get into even that, tell me, what is Rep District 63. What's that made up of?
So that would be the majority of Daviess County, except for your Odin and Elnora. Those are in, I just had his name.
They're in 45.
Elvis.
45?
Borders, not Elvis.
Borders, and there's a Republican primary there as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then all of Martin County.
Bruce Borders and Kelly Streeter.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And Becky Mayfield is running on the Democrat ticket in that one. So,
so are you going to force me to interview her?
I mean, I won't force you to do anything, but she's a school teacher.
Okay.
And
where's she from?
She's from Greene County, I believe, Linton.
Okay.
So,
yeah. That might be in some of our listenership. We largely try to focus on Davis County stuff first. But we do interviews from other people, but we want it to be within the vein of what we're talking about.
Of your local stuff.
Yeah.
And then we have all of Martin County, and we have the majority of Du Bois. There's a little bit kind of to the east of that Huntingburg area. Okay. And then just a very small part of Pike County in there.
You taking Petersburg or no?
A small part of Petersburg.
Okay.
Yeah. just to the east of Petersburg.
So everything but the top 2 townships in Davis,
Yes.
Olive Martin, most of Du Bois, and then part of Pike. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Very good. And so you're running for state rep, which is a big deal. That's
Yes.
seats currently held by Shane Lindauer. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you decide that this is something you wanted to do?
So I've always been fairly involved in politics, just following and talking about. And then whenever I got involved in local party leadership a little over a year ago, I kind of thought that would be where my role would be, helping with the others' candidacies. Yeah, we've really turned our work with the party into trying to serve the community, through different things. And so I felt like that would be my role, is to just continue serving in that role and facilitator for other candidates.
Yeah.
And, at times I'd talk with my husband, because I knew that Lindauer wasn't seeking reelection, and I knew who the
Your husband's name again, please?
My husband's name is Gary Arthur.
Okay.
He's also from Washington. Memmering Farms. He farms with his brother and his cousin. So.
Okay. Memring's his cousin, and then Scott Arthur.
Yes.
Oh, that's his brother.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. He's on the Washington School Board.
Yes, president of the Washington School Board.
Hey,
Yeah.
wow, that's a lot of power.
It is.
Don't let it go to his head.
I know.
Scott, don't you?
Don't ever change.
That's funny. Okay, so they're brothers, and then the Memrings are their cousins.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And then we talked a little bit about this earlier, but there used to be Judge Arthur
Yes.
in the county, and then Judge Arthur before him as
Yes.
well. And that would be your husband's uncle. Is that correct?
Yes, uncle and grandfather.
Very good. Well,
Yeah.
you come from a long line of politically involved people then.
Yes.
Is that right?
And my stepmom, she was at the courthouse for a very long time in the clerk's office and
Nice
stuff.
lady.
So, yeah. She got me into working elections my senior year of high school.
Oh, wow.
I don't know that I've ever voted at my own polling place because I've worked elections for
Sure.
many years. So,
Yeah. And so we have a mutual friend, Dave Crooks.
Yes.
Who I basically know you via Dave Crooks. So Dave says, nice things about you, and that she's a great candidate and all these things. But he also told me, he's like, oh yeah, I talked her into running, more or less. And it was kind of a late decision.
it was, I did file on the final day.
Okay.
My unknown to Dave, my husband and I, and my children and I, and some of my closest friends, I had talked about this. I mean, what if we don't have anyone, kind of just that voice in the back of my head, like, I think this might be the time. I think this might be the time. And when Dave called, it just, everything, the universe just aligned, Hey, are you free? Yeah, I just got done with work. Hey, I think you should do this.
Your work. Please tell us what you do.
So I work in the beauty industry. I'm a small business owner.
Okay.
I run my own beauty business. So as a lash artist. So
lash.
Yeah.
Can you do anything with this?
We can try.
It's a blank slate here, yeah.
We can try.
Okay. Kidding. Okay, so Dave called, and it's something that you felt like was maybe it was the right time and place for you.
Talking with Dave and with, the people on my executive team and with my family, of course, my first phone call was to my husband, and hey, we have some things we might need to sit down and talk about when I get home. The work that I've been doing with the party just leads naturally into being able to do this also. And the work that I'm doing on my campaign is stuff that I can help other candidates with. So my biggest concern was, will I still be able to serve our county and the people and the community that we've built here while I run my own campaign? That was really the only thing that made me hesitant. Our children are 20 and 22.
Sure.
They don't need as much guidance or assistance as they used to whenever they were younger. And
just seemed like a good time.
Yeah. And my husband's so supportive. So,
it's cool.
We just kind of felt like this is the time to try and make the change that we want to see happen.
Go for it. Okay. And we talked a little bit about parental involvement and control, and maybe segue into that as a topic. It's something that I've talked with the Senate district candidates about something a hot item, and just and you mentioned too that maybe you had a conversation with your daughter
Yes.
about it.
Yes.
But the question would be like, to what degree should we have parental control of maybe a device or social media when they're on school property, when they're at home, whatever the case may be? You care to speak to that?
My daughter and I, when this topic has come up, because she's 20, almost 21, doesn't really know a time before social media or devices or iPads or the internet. And so whenever we talked about it, I really expected to hear some kickback from her, like, oh, that's to try and put parents in control of this and try and cut back on that is what I expected her to say. It's like, this is a horrible idea. And, her comment to me was, I think it's a fantastic idea. She was like, I grew up at a time when, we largely monitored what they did on the internet. But she was like, I was young, and there's kids now that they're not being supervised, and they do have so much access, and their prefrontal cortexes are not even beginning to be done developing, and the internet is forever. And so that was it was one of those conversations that made me kind of take pause, because it wasn't the conversation I expected to have. And I would say that there's
Did you say, honey, would you be okay if I took your phone away? She's like, no.
Maybe not at 20.
Yeah.
But it definitely was eye-opening. And I think that there's a lot that needs to be looked at regarding that topic, because it can be fantastic as...
No, it's just a tool, right?
Yeah.
It can be used for good things, but largely people don't.
Yes.
At least social media, they're not using it for a ton of good stuff.
No. Social media is honestly, it's a necessary evil, but we've kind of talked about that. Try and get on, do your work, and then maybe step off. You have to stay out of the comment section.
Yeah, it's pretty negative. It becomes the lowest common denominator. Whoever's the loudest and the most obnoxious tends to be successful.
Yeah.
Successful.
And that's the algorithm. That's what the algorithm pushes also.
Okay. Good talk on that. So along those lines, I mean, parental involvement, school education issues. Tell me your position on a handful of these things. I mean, I'm sure we would have largely a different view maybe on school choice, or no.
So when it comes to school choice, I do think that a parent should absolutely be able to choose where they send their children for whatever reason they feel like. I think
you just don't think that public money should support that, or I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'll stop talking. Sorry.
So if a parent chooses to send their children to another school outside of their school district, I have no problem with that money following that child.
That's Mitch Daniels.
I understand. Listen, we can't ever throw the baby out with the bathwater.
But it's a good idea.
My concern,
it's not really a political thing, is
my
it?
concern becomes when our schools that serve about 90% of Hoosier children are seeing drastic cuts in their budgets. I know that over the last 7 years, just here in Daviess County, the Washington School Corporation has lost about $7.5 million due to the school voucher program. So I'm not opposed to those things, but I think that we need to look at real reform and make sure that we're not harming 90% of our students for the 10%.
Yeah. But you're fine if people from Washington go to Bar Reef.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Or North Davis or Pike or
Yeah.
South Knox or whatever the case may be.
Where if you would like to help facilitate getting your children there, rural school districts are a lot different than more of your urban areas.
Is it okay? And I don't really care what your answer is to this. I don't want to put you on the hot seat. Is it okay that there is a public school pickup close to Washington for a different school?
I hear mixed reviews from people, of course. To me, if schools are willing to work together, I think my takeaway for all of this is if we can make things better and easier for children and for parents and for our communities, and everyone is okay with it and the schools are okay with it, then I don't think that I have a place to tell them that they shouldn't. Does that make sense?
It does.
I know it has mixed reviews from locals.
Yeah, I want people to do what they want to do. Educate their kids in how they think is best. I get the pushback on, but it shouldn't go into the private schools, or it shouldn't go to this option or that option. I get that. In addition to that, K through 12 education is 50+% of the state budget. So I'll push back a little bit on the drastic cuts.
Well, and again, those numbers are over 7 years. I see in our public schools, my children have not attended private school. I was a preschool teacher at WC for 5 years. So, worked a little bit in that realm.
Little hellish Schwarzentroopers?
Maybe.
I don't know if you did or not.
It's been a long time.
Washington Catholic, you're saying?
Yes. Washington Catholic.
Some of my kids went to preschool there, and I just wondered if you had any of them, or if you gave them Fs or anything.
Well, it was preschool.
Okay,
we're not big on failing children in preschool.
Yeah. But you're generally favorable, it seems, about educational choice.
Educational choice. I think that we have to take a look at the voucher program. I think that having zero caps on income, we don't want someone like Elon Musk to move into Indiana and then,
you don't want him here no matter
taxpayers are, well, that's also fair, but we don't want then taxpayer dollars to be paying for his children's private school education. So
what about Phillip Rivers? So Phillip Rivers has 10 kids. He's going to be he was the coach the quarterback for the Colts, and his kids would largely go to private schools, I think. And you don't want Phillip Rivers' kids? No. Okay, I got you.
People choose to send their children to private schools for a multitude of reasons. In District 63 over in Martin County, there's no private school option in Martin County. So, they're either having to go to Du Bois or to Daviess County if they want to send their kid to a private school. So we just don't want to see schools like that struggle when they don't have the school option choices or the ability to get their kids to those options. And I think that there's a multitude of reasons that someone would choose to send their child to a private school or to a different school corporation.
I'm going to push back a little bit too, because this started as even when I was in high school, we graduated high school the same year. When I was in high school, we had debate class where we would talk about school choice as a question. It kind of started it.
Not at North Daviess High School.
Okay. Well, somewhere they did.
Yeah.
And it largely started in cities, and it was kind of a blue issue where people wanted this to be the case so that people could go somewhere other than maybe the school that they were failing in. And it's now very much a Republican thing. Is that fair?
I would say that that's fair. Yeah.
So how does that happen? And how are you being fair to this as a position? Because you're like, I think it's a good idea. At least it's reasonable.
I think, I don't know that I would say I'm school. And when I say school choice, I think that my place is, I think that parents should have the freedom to choose where their children go. I think that we need to take a look at our school voucher system and refine that in a way that's not harming our public schools, if that makes sense.
We also have a mutual friend who's in charge of the school funding formula in the state of Indiana for a long time in the Indiana Senate. Eric Bassler was a state senator.
Yes.
And have you talked to him about this at all?
I've not had a chance to, no. Okay. No, I have not. Just a lot of it is research, speaking with, local school board members and research, through different avenues online.
Yeah.
So.
Sure.
Eric, if you're listening,
which he's not, he's making ice cream. So, no, I think that's interesting. I do think that it tends to be that whoever is not in power tends to make points to try to score political points, oftentimes while being disingenuous at times. And I'm not saying that about you. I'm just saying, look, this thing started as a Democrat thing to try to have equality within education.
And I think that
now it's become this you evil rich Republicans are,
I think that you can have great ideas. And, I believe that the comment might be the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
And so I think that we don't know what we don't know in a moment.
Yeah.
And that it's okay to take a look at programs that maybe were all started for the right reasons, but have then shifted in a way that may not be what's best overall for our state. And instead of throwing the whole thing out, you look at it and go, hey, maybe here's where we can
Do better.
Shift a little bit, and we can change some things.
Hey, we agree on like parents making decisions relative to their kids. Absolutely. I mean, let's go like a step up. I mean, even today there was some there's a winding down of the Department of Education, essentially. What do you think about that?
I have concerns about that. I'm a big fan of personal freedoms, but I also have concerns when you have fewer. I'm trying to say this in a way that makes sense. I don't want a ton of government insight, but I also have concerns about doing away with things like the Department of Education overseeing, just to make sure that our public schools are maintaining the correct standards and that we are holding that.
But could it not be done at the state level?
I think that it potentially could be something I'd want to read some more about and get a little bit more in depth with.
So I'm gonna some of the stuff too. Like we used to have a Secretary of Public Education as an elected position within the state, and that was essentially done away with by a Republican legislature, and it was a at the time a Democrat holding that seat. And so it kind of, obviously it looks bad, but the way they did it was they waited till it was a time again to run. So it was pushed back. So it was less political. I don't know that we need do you think that we need an elected?
I think if you're going to do away with the federal Department of Education, and you want the states to take power, then I think that at the state level you have to have someone
to be a bit more robust.
Yes.
Yeah, but maybe they don't need to be elected, do they? Do you want them to be elected?
I mean, I think that a solid appointment with proper credentialing would be a possibility.
Okay. I'll just share with you this too. I went to an event. I'm just thinking about this. This is crazy that we're talking about this. So Mike Braun was running for state rep at the time, maybe his second term. Steve Braun, his brother at the time, Steve's passed away. He was hosting an event for him at the Sultan's Run, and Jennifer McCormick, at the time a Republican, was there supporting Governor Braun. She was running for that role, the superintendent of public instruction, but obviously later they were running against each other,
against one another
for governor. So how do these things become so political, and why would that have happened? Obviously you would have supported McCormick, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I would have supported Braun at the time. I was just going because I was invited to go to this event and it was close by, and I was like,
and it's at a beautiful
and I went
golf
with
course.
if you're listening, I went with the then superintendent of Bar Eve Schools, Travis Madison. We went to this event, Sultan's Run, Jasper, Steve Braun, Mike Braun, Jennifer McCormick, all Republicans at the time. But why is it so political? Does it need to be?
I kind of miss the days when you didn't know if your neighbors were a Republican or a Democrat. You knew who would be at your house if you needed something.
You know why I didn't know? Social media. There's no social media. And the Australian ballot, which is secret.
Yeah.
You don't know how I'm voting, right?
Exactly.
And we weren't yelling at each other
via social media. So I do think that social media has been a huge part of that.
Pretty negative.
There's a lot of topics that I just don't feel like should be partisan. We all want our kids to have great educations.
Yeah.
We all want affordable health care. We all want the towns that we live in to thrive. We all want affordable, to be able to afford housing and, to thrive and do well, and our kids and our families to thrive and do well. So there's so many things that I have become partisan that I don't truly feel like should be.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I don't think we need a person who is elected into that position. I think we were one of only 2 states that was still doing it at the time when they did away with it, but I digress. Okay. You talked about your involvement in elected politics. I know you used to do a lot more with the Republican side.
Yes.
So tell me about like why the change, like just your interest then, your interest now, like.
A lot of my involvement whenever I was younger was, helping with local campaigns, family members
People
who were
know.
running.
Yeah.
People that we looked at as like, hey,
Yeah.
you're a good person. I think you'll do a good job.
Sure.
Years ago, we don't even live in the city limits, and we had a large Wellman sign in our front yard. And I think that at the local level, especially, very few people make decisions because this is the party. They make policy decisions based on what they feel like is best for our community.
Or they want to pick somebody that
Yeah.
they think is going to pursue the common good.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a republic in which we elect representatives.
Exactly.
Who more or less see things the way we see it, or we think they can do this person's better maybe than this person, whatever. Right?
Yeah. And then as my children, got busier, just there's less time for that kind of work and involvement. Our kids were involved in a lot of sports. I helped coach, my daughter's cheer.
What you coach cheer?
Yeah. So I coached high school cheer at North Davies for a little bit, and then I coached competitive cheer down in Jasper, Indiana. Cool. And my daughter did that for like 10 years. And then our son played soccer and cross country and track. So we were very much booster club parents and sitting on bleachers for the majority of their lives.
Kids went to Washington?
Yes, both did.
And the older one is a boy?
Yes. His name's Colin. He's 22. He'll be 23 soon.
Cool.
Graduated from Purdue University.
All right.
So boiler up.
They just won last night. They won last second shot.
Barely.
That was awesome.
I'm really glad that my husband was in the field and not at home, because I'm
funny.
not sure that everyone could have handled it.
That's funny.
But yeah, so my son, he graduated from Purdue last May, and he lives in Pennsylvania now, where he works. He graduated with a, oh my gosh, I'm completely blanking.
It's fine. He graduated.
He graduated. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
He got his degree.
Yeah.
So
Colin.
Yes,
and
Colin.
Your daughter is
Ellie.
Ellie.
And she is working on her
20,
almost 21. Working on her bachelor's degree in business and pre-law. So
Where at?
Through Center for Advanced Legal Studies. She's doing it online while she lives at home.
okay.
They're based out of Texas. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
We need lawyers.
we do. She has her paralegal certificate. So
Hey, let's go.
yeah,
Okay.
she loves to argue with me. So
Oh, really? I've got some of those, so I understand. Tell me about maybe where, just where you decided, I want to do this. I want to be the county chair. I want to do this. And then, and were there specific things that impacted you, or, and maybe you don't want to talk about it. I don't know.
No, I'm happy to. I actually went to my first Democrat meeting. A friend of mine had messaged me, was like, hey, this is happening. Do you want to come with me? And I was like, absolutely. And I went not realizing it was reorganization. I actually went to kind of yell at him, to be perfectly frank with you.
Yell at the Democrats.
Yeah.
To
yell at the leadership,
Okay,
to just scream into the void.
Yeah. Voice crying in the wilderness. Yes.
To just say, because the party had been very lackluster.
Maybe
Fallow.
there hasn't been an elected Democrat in Davis County in a countywide office for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember any.
Yeah. Jim Truelove.
Okay.
Yeah. And he became a Republican. So.
Yeah. So I went to just basically, if you're not here to help us navigate the next 4 years of all of this, because I feel like they would kind of show up for the mayor's race, then you didn't hear anything about them for a while.
Yeah.
And
That's fair.
I left in charge.
Okay.
So,
But there had to be some issue that you really cared about to even go, no? Or not really?
well, yes, just concern, concern for my neighbors, concern for our communities, not to get into a lot of the national rhetoric, because there's not much I can do about that.
Right. We'll talk about that too. Keep going.
But, a lot of it is just, I wanted to be here to, get involved and try and help the people in my communities.
Sure.
I grew up going to church every Sunday. I, went to mass with my grandmother. I grew up in a Protestant household like we've talked about, but my grandmother, was raised.
What's your grandmother's name?
Sandra Green was her maiden name.
Okay.
But, Catholic and, so growing up in church and listening, involved in Walk to Emmaus and Bible studies and all of those things, being involved in that, and really my faith in that is I should be doing good for the people in our community.
You have to do good.
Yes.
That's right.
Supporting and loving and helping. And so that really, I know that a lot of people may not understand that.
So you feel like your faith, your faith background maybe pushed you away from the Republican Party.
I can't say that it pushed me away. I feel like maybe there was a bit of a shift.
Okay. Within the Republican Party.
At probably your national level, less at the local level.
Okay.
But more,
because I'm nice, right?
Yeah.
I'm a Republican, right?
But like we've talked about, I think that there's a lot that you and I agree on. I think we agree on maybe the end result, just maybe not the path to get there.
I want good government.
Yeah.
And I want to see things move along. I want it to be a community where we want to live, work, and I want to raise my family.
And our kids come back too. That's
for sure.
That's a big thing for me is I'd like my kids to be able to have the option to come back here. But so to me, a lot of that political work is not about the title. It's not about the next step for me. It's about the service of what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
And in a way that I can serve the people in our community and make their lives better.
So you told me you have you're very comfortable in doing this. You're doing a really good job. And it's a hard, can be intimidating or hard interview, but you do this. You have a podcast.
Yes.
What types of things do you like to talk about, or?
We talk about a little bit of everything. We're mid-ish life women, so we're not that old though.
Who's we? You and
so myself and the Knox County Democratic Chair Marsha Fleming.
Okay.
We do. It's called Left of Midlife, and
Left of Midlife. Okay.
Yes, because she's a little bit older than me. So what's left of her midlife, and mine is I'm just to the left of midlife. We talk about a little bit of everything, some current events, some history. Sometimes we talk about mental health, and we actually just had, oh my gosh.
Somebody.
Yeah, we just had, Robert Arnold.
Okay.
If you have not seen him on TikTok, he's very popular. He's a poet and writer.
Okay.
He's actually going to be in Vincent's doing a free event, speaking event.
I don't know Robert Arnold, but
I think you would like him.
Not a local person.
No.
Okay.
He's from Arkansas.
Oh, okay. I hate to break this to you, but I'm not on TikTok.
No, but I think you would like his work.
Okay.
I think he's on Substack and some other things as well.
I'll check it out. Yeah, I like to listen to kind of anybody who's thinking.
He has a very soothing voice.
Okay.
But a big thing of his, he does talk, some politics, but his goal is about humanity, that we've lost a lot of the humanity.
Well, that's what I was talking about too earlier. I mean, me and Dave agree on essentially nothing, but I always like going on election night with him on his radio stations and just talking about whatever. And I never regretted it. Well, I'm going to treat Dave well. I regret it if I'm like, haha, or if he was mean to me or if I was mean to him. It didn't work well. Even, and I mentioned this earlier, when Governor Braun was in the Senate, I would ask him like, hey, what Democrats do you know? Who do you talk to? And it's fine. I want him to have convictions and ideas and this, but I also we have to be able to talk.
Absolutely.
It's important.
Civil civic discourse has been lost a lot, I feel like. And ultimately, if I'm elected, I want to work with anyone who wants good things for our district.
Okay.
Will there be some things that I might need to stand firm on if it's going to hurt District 63? Absolutely. Yeah. But that's not about a party line to me. That's about you have to work with other people.
No, that's fair. Now, in the State House, you're running for State House seat.
Yes.
There were times, and Eric wouldn't talk in these terms, but there were times where the Republicans would talk about the size of the Democrat caucus, which is quite small, and how if you're successful in this race, how will you be able to move things in a direction that you think is positive when the numbers are so dramatically different?
Well, I think
what is it? Maybe 10 to 40 in the Senate and 20 or 30 to 70 or 80.
It's quite sizable.
Okay.
But I think that we've seen in this last, legislative cycle, the redistricting, for instance.
Let's talk about that.
The Republicans who stood firm on that without the exterior pressure, they really listened to their constituents. They stood to their, where they felt in their convictions and the people in their districts. I listened to you interview Eric and,
Did I do a good job?
You did a great job.
Hey,
that was your first one?
I think so. Yeah.
I think it was your first one. But listening to him say, we got a lot of phone calls. We got a lot of, emails, a lot of mail.
But here's the thing. I'm going to push back a little bit. Say it was something you didn't like. Then you'd be like, no, they're just Republicans calling Republicans. And so that would be though, where I would want to hear from the people in my district. How do you want me to vote? Because ultimately that's who I'm there to represent. But if it's an evil thing, of course you couldn't pursue it.
Evil. Do you think do you think the Republican Party would put out evil stuff?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like you would say some of these things, like it would be evil. So, of course, I can't participate in that if I think it's evil.
Well, yeah. And that's where you have to stand firm in your convictions and what's best for your district. But when it's things that aren't hurtful,
convictions first, because this is a republic, a representative form of government.
Yes.
And so I pick someone that I think can carry out what I believe to be the best.
Exactly.
You don't always have to poll your district, do you?
No, you don't always have to poll, but I am a firm believer.
You wouldn't want them to poll their district. If you thought it was wrong, you'd be like, hey, just say no. Or if you thought it was right, you have to say yes. I don't care what 51% of people say. Because I do think there's a difference between the greater good and the common good. You understand?
I would agree.
The greater good is 50% plus one.
Yeah.
The common good is, what is ultimately good for these people and the district?
Yeah.
I think.
So I would also say, though, too, I think being able to have the conversations, your town halls, your meetings like that, to talk with your people and explain, like, this is why I have voted this way, or this is why I plan to vote that way. That transparency, I think, is important. And you can't.
So I feel
you can
like
never make everyone happy all the time.
Yeah. Anything that the President of the United States would say relative to redistricting in Indiana, of course, Democrats in Indiana are going to say no. And so they're happy that there's more than half of the Republicans that joined their group and telling the Republican president no. So I think it's less principled than what you're saying.
And see, I would.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, see, I would disagree because to me,
But you thought redistricting was bad, notwithstanding which direction Eric went.
My concerns with this was,
and notwithstanding what a majority of the people
outside of the 10 years, and knowing how that's supposed to happen.
Sure,
I'm not a big fan of party politics.
But then it's not about polling the district either. It's about does this make sense?
Exactly.
And you thought it was wrong.
Yes.
As did a number of others. I mean, who knows, like, why people said no?
Yeah.
But many of them, at least I think what Eric said was, well,
we got them right the first time.
Yeah, I just voted on this.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to just do this again.
Yeah.
Now, what if some of that data relative to those districts, what if that information wasn't accurate? What if it was dramatically different? Say it's I don't know, any number of shifts post-Katrina where all these people leave New Orleans and they go to Houston, or any number of situations where it changes dramatically, or say you, as a Democrat, don't trust the data, then is it something worth looking at? Or would you say, no, we just did it 4 years ago?
I mean, if we're talking redistricting, as that is our example right now, I would look at legally, what is it? How is this always been set up? I think that there is this idea. One, I'm a big believer in facts and data. And I think you have to get that from more than one source. And you have to take a look at things that support your stance and things that don't support your stance. I think in order to get a well-rounded view, because we were doing research papers long before the internet and AI, when we would have to cite our sources. I think it's important that you listen to people and you read the data that supports and doesn't support to make a well-rounded view.
I agree.
I'm not a believer in party over people, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it's just a proxy for.
Yeah.
It's easy and convenient for people, but it ultimately has to be about ideas.
Yeah.
And like and people are gonna vote straight ticket Democrat or straight ticket Republican because they think the ideas on one side or the other are better.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I decided that I thought I was a Republican. I was in the College Republicans, and it was about the ideas that I thought were better. Now, a lot of those ideas have changed. I mean, that was some time ago. You reminded me how long ago it was. But it's about ideas. Like, it's not forever going to be these two people at the top of the ticket.
Exactly.
It's not.
Yeah.
So what ideas within the party are things that you're really passionate about?
I think that we here in the state of Indiana, my biggest focus, if elected, is going to be, how do we make our education systems better for all students, 100% of the students? How are we making sure that the most vulnerable in our communities are still being supported? When the SNAP benefits were up in the air, before the holidays last year, we had some serious concerns about how people would be eating and, those kinds of concerns. I want to make sure that those sorts of people who are not in those communities are not falling through the cracks. That it's not, that we're focusing on working everyday families. And I think that is one of my biggest concerns, is that we're making life better for those people. I think that the government's number one goal and number one function should be to serve the people. And I feel like we have to get back to that.
Yeah. Okay. Few things that I might push back on, but I'm not going to do it right now. In fact, let's talk about data centers, because you want to talk about data centers. Or mid-states.
I was going to say, is this the safer topic?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is safer. It's pretty simple. I mean, a lot of people don't want data centers in their backyard. That's easy.
Yeah.
I tend to think, and I'm going to be hard on the Democrat Party a little bit, let no big headache or problem go like untouched. Like, definitely take advantage of it, right? And so I heard Rahm Emanuel say that, and many other people say these types of things. Rahm writes in the Wall Street Journal editorial page now, which is a weird place for him. Ultimately, these things are about ideas. If you have any big structure that hurts maybe people's health, safety, and welfare, you don't want it next to you. But what if there's a data center in the middle of nowhere in the county? What do you think? As long as they're paying their own way to make it happen, is that okay?
So
do you use data?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we all do. We live in a world where everyone, for the most part, does.
Yeah.
Maybe a small part of our population here in Daviess County doesn't, but the majority of the world does. I am never opposed to growth. I'm never opposed to new jobs and industry coming in. I think that there needs to be a lot of questions answered. I think we need to make sure that, again, it's doing the most good and the least harm. No one wants a facility that's going to come in and raise your utility prices or drain your well water or lead to increased, health concerns. But if those things are coming in and providing good jobs, we have to look at the balance of that. And more than 10 jobs, we want to make sure that it's bringing in real sustainable jobs, but we also want to make sure that it's not hurting our environment and it's not hurting what's going on in our health.
We put it on the front page of the paper this week, earlier this week. It's largely an area that doesn't have any infrastructure to it. I think what they've asked for is that you all put this infrastructure in, you all rezone this for us, and then we'd like to build this data center. And everyone's like, no.
Yeah.
Which is a reasonable response.
I think what I'm seeing from a lot of people actually, and is what I've read too, that the county or that our city council's concern was there's a lot of unanswered. There's a lot of up in the air, not knowing who the end user would be for this
They're not
facility.
gonna tell us that. I mean, even like
I'm not 100% certain that they know, just from watching the city council
I'd
back.
say they don't. They definitely don't. So Morgan County just did this, and they didn't find out until all the steps were done and that it was where it was supposed to be, that it was Google.
Yeah.
We don't know who it is. And what if it was a data center in Arizona?
I can't do anything in Arizona.
But what can you, but to be fair, would that be okay?
I think it would be for their local community to decide.
Okay. But is it? If they're not asking for anything, if they're not asking for some financial incentive and they're not asking for a change in zoning, can a business simply
it's similar. You purchase that ground. Ultimately, that landowner has the decision whether or not to sell that ground to them and have it developed. It's no different. It's similar to the solar farms that you see going in and the pushback on that from certain communities.
I mean,
ultimately,
you want a solar farm? I wouldn't want a solar farm next to my house. I wouldn't want a data center next to my house.
I wouldn't want either of those things next to my house. Fortunately, I do own the fields around my house. So that helps.
But not everybody does.
Not everyone does.
Not everybody does.
So I think with, what we're seeing here in Daviess County, the big concern is that a lot of unanswered questions and just needing those questions answered before the city council is going to make any sort of a decision.
And what they forget about too, like they can get a lot of this information confidentially via executive session when you've got a big, they could get all those questions answered.
Yeah.
Now, is Jane or John Q. Public going to get their questions answered ahead of time? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think that's,
does it matter what I say about it, Tiffany? Does it really matter what I think? What you put in your fields, right?
Well, I think you have to find a balance.
Well, but the right to do these things.
What's in the field, though?
If it's impacting me,
exactly. If it's impacting you, that's where it is.
I completely agree.
Where what is it that your personal freedom ends at the beginning of my nose and the end of your fist?
That's great. So your daughter's in paralegal studies. The right to swing my fist ends at the end of somebody else's nose.
Yeah.
So that just means if I'm out in the middle of the field swinging my fist all day long and I touch no one, I can do it. But if I am putting something that leaches over to the other fields, kills people, harms people, impacts their property values, whatever, we got a problem.
Yeah.
I think we agree.
Look at that.
All right. Mid-States Corridor. You want to talk about that? Go ahead.
That's a huge topic in District 63, especially in Du Bois.
So what if I told you that north of the Hayesville Bridge in Davis and Martin County, that it was going to follow the public right-of-way existing and would largely, I have a cabin between Lagodi and Jasper, so I don't want it to take my cabin. Call me crazy. But if it largely follows the public right-of-way, is it a much less explosive topic, or is it still a terrible idea? Either way, I just want to know what you think.
Well, I'm never going to say that improving infrastructure is a terrible idea, because improved infrastructure is good. What I'm hearing from locals is that you have 250-year-old farms that are being taken. We have, all of this productive farm ground, and being from a farm background and family, once you pave it over, it's done. And agriculture is a huge economy in our area. There's concerns about, I know that it will save time if you're on the Mid-States Corridor heading north or south. There's concerns about crossing that Mid-States Corridor if you work and live locally. Those intersections.
It's not going to be safer.
Yeah, it's going to add time to your local travels, not save time. And right now, I know that now at the state level, we have a surplus, but we also have a lot of road projects that have been canceled. We had hundreds of scheduled road projects and improvements that have been scheduled due to a lack of funds. So fiscally,
You just feel like it's not the priority.
I don't feel like this should be the priority. We're looking at a potentially a $3 billion road. And 10% of that is going to be passed on to locals. And that number right now, $1.08 billion, just for the Dubois County section, does not include the price of the land acquisition and the home acquisition. So I just don't know that that's the priority at this moment.
That's fair. And I think that's reasonable. I mean, what I have seen is just that it's been turned into an issue for people to attack. And I get it. If it's taking my house, if it's going through my farm, I don't want it.
Yeah.
But if it's happening in the northern part of the state, the exact same thing, it's kind of like the data center. It's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't do anything about it in Arizona. And,
Okay, but what if that data center was going to Martin County?
Exactly.
Or what if it was going to Pike County? Would you be okay with that?
I think that would be up for your local communities to talk about.
But does it matter what I say about what you put in your field? If you wanted to put the data center in your field, north of Washington,
But again,
10 miles from
we've talked about, as long as it's not harming others.
Okay. So once we figure out that it's not harming others, you think it's okay.
Or that it is, or that it
it is,
yeah.
and it's not okay.
And it's not okay.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. Rational.
Look, I feel like I'm very reasonable.
Okay. So,
And I will say the Mid-States Corridor is a very nonpartisan issue. I've been to quite a few of their meetings, and you have Democrats, you have Republicans, and again, when you're making breakfast, the chicken is a part of it, but the pig for the bacon, he's fully committed.
Yeah, we'll put that on the internet. That's good. Yeah, the chicken's involved, but the pig's committed. That's right. Okay. Any other issues that you want to communicate to the populace?
I mean, I don't know.
Will you get Dave to come on the show? You tell him to quit traveling.
Well, if he would quit traveling, it would definitely make it easier.
I like that.
Yeah.
Will you come on election night, or maybe will you come back and talk to me?
I mean, absolutely.
Okay, you're good at this.
Like I enjoy yapping. I think that it's always good when people maybe with conflicting or not 100% aligned views can sit down and talk, because I really do think that a lot of times we can find more common ground than we think.
Oh, for sure. We don't maybe agree on everything, but you've been pleasant to talk with. You're very nice.
Well, thank you.
And I enjoyed this very much. And we'll talk a little bit offline, but hopefully you'll come back and join us again, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thanks, Grant.
Take care.
Thanks for watching The Juice by the Odin Journal. Tune in next week for more Davis County news, freshly squeezed.